welcome everybody, and it's a great day. So happy to have you here. I am your host, Lady JB Owen, and welcoming you to our show, Ignite Humanity Live. That's right, we are live every day, Monday to Friday, to bring to you powerful, amazing ways for you to ignite humanity and step into who you were designed to be. That's right, each and every one of us have the power and the inclination to be able to do something that's going to ignite another's life. And we want to make this show be about ways for you to get inspired, how for you to not only ignite yourself, but ignite others. And that's what's going to ignite humanity. Well, today is Monday, so that means it's Idea Day. And I'm going to start right out of the gate by talking about a really fun idea. One of the things that I do every day when I wake up is something I do called Do What Makes Me Happy. That's right. I lay in bed before I touch my phone or turn on the light or do anything else. And I just, in that wonderful, relaxed state before getting out of bed, is I ask myself, what's going to make me happy today? What is going to inspire me today? What is going to truly make me feel genuinely happy? And the truth is, the reason I share this is because our third principle in igniting humanity is instill true happiness and inner peace. And the way that we achieve that is by really honoring what makes us happy. And so I'll lie there and ask myself what makes me happy. And sometimes it's like, oh, I want to have a great piece of salmon for dinner, or I really want to spend some time with the kids after school, or I would love to head over to the mall or over to the park or get outside. And so when I get that feeling of that's going to make me happy, I make sure that I do everything in that day to achieve that. Now, I don't mean I only do that, and I don't mean I sacrifice everything else just to do that. But what I do is I make sure I honor that. I honor that desire to make me happy. So if that means spending some time with the kids, I'm going to make sure that I structure my day and get my work done and set aside some time just for them. If going to the park and being outside is going to make me happy, then I make sure that I get everything done and organized so that I honor myself and get outside. And one of the ways that you ignite your life is by doing what makes you happy and honoring it. If you don't honor you, who's going to honor you? If you don't recognize and make yourself important, who else is going to do that? And so I challenge you and encourage you and inspire you to do what makes you happy each and every day. Do it in a way that you fill your life up with the things that make you happy, and you make yourself important. Because when you make yourself important, other people make you important. And when you show people that you're important, then they feel the courage to make themselves important. And that is all about the ripple effect. The ripple effect really is what is going to ignite humanity. So as each and every one of us is living our principle, number 3, that true happiness and that inner peace, then that is going to create a huge ripple effect. Now, many of our guests, and you've probably seen on our past shows, and you're going to meet a great guest today, have had ignite moments in their lives, challenging, difficult times where they have had to turn it around and turn it into something that has allowed them to feel a greater sense of happiness in their mission and in their purpose and in the things they do every day in their lives. And so those ignite moments, those powerful moments that awaken them, become the beginning of a better life and a trajectory towards that happiness. And when they're happy, guess what? They do things to make other people happy. And what does that mean? That we are igniting happiness throughout humanity. So let's start out with checking out our first guest and sharing a little bit about what she's up to. But before I get to that, let me just talk about one of the ways that we can make others happy is through our new initiative for the entire month of February. We are doing something called Bouquets of Hope. That's right, Bouquets of Hope. We support schools in third world nations, and we do that by donations that buy bricks to build the school. And what we were thinking this Valentine's Day, if you want something different to give to one of your friends or family for Valentine's Day, why not buy them a bouquet of hope? Because we call our bricks of hope. Every brick that we receive from a donation, we consider it a brick of hope that's going to help build a school, that's going to ignite a child's life. And so we've created this wonderful virtual bouquet of hope that you could send to one of your loved ones. So for $12, which buys 12 bricks, you can create a bouquet of hope and virtually send that beautiful bouquet to somebody. And not only are you igniting their life, you're igniting your life, and you are igniting the children's lives of those who will be able to participate and be in the schools that we build from your donations. See how that all works? It truly creates happiness in the world. All right, well, check out the Bouquet of Hope at ignitehumanity.life. kate.com/hope and buy one for your Valentine right now. All right, well, let's talk about Kate. She's here to have some fun with us. Kate Vrasak is a 3-time international best-selling author and the CEO of Sacred Roots Coaching. She has been a mental health consultant for over a decade and facilitates powerful forgiveness processes to turn trauma into triumph. Her powerful transformational story will motivate and inspire you to trust the process and forgive others. All right, Kate, come on in and welcome to the show. Here she is. Welcome, welcome. One of my Canadian colleagues. Nice to have you here, Kate.
Thank you for having me, JB. It's a pleasure to be here.
So terrific. And so I want to dive right in. Trauma to triumph. You want to talk about that? How do people go from trauma to triumph?
Well, first of all, it's to acknowledge and accept that trauma has happened in your life and to allow yourself to lean in to see that it's a gift. Yes, it can be a gift because it's made you stronger and it's made you who you are. So I lead individuals on processes that make them see their potential through the trauma and then see to the other side. And through that process, it's receiving the forgiveness for themselves that they so humbly and just euphorically accept because they just see that it is effortless when they can allow themselves to forgive for themselves. It's not for the other person necessarily. You'll never forget what happened to you, but the release of the shackles of the bondage of what trauma can do on your life is really freeing when you can see forgiveness is the light of your life and you can see the light and not see your darkness anymore due to the trauma. So I am just so honored to be able to do this with individuals and see them grow, and to see the growth in people is just admirable because they always have the potential. It's just they don't see it themselves and they just need someone as a conduit to help them pull it out of them.
And I like that you said it, that it's a process, because a lot of people are very impatient with their own self-development, their own growth. They want to like crack open the cocoon and get the butterfly wings like to dry immediately so they can jump off and go to the next thing. But it's really important that it's a process. Can you speak about that?
Yes, I'm dealing with a client right now, a beautiful woman who is going through a lot of soul searching, and she had a trauma that she had repressed for a long time and didn't realize that it was playing a havoc in the background of her marriage. And this is her second marriage that she's on. So she realized that she had to do something, and it took me to be in a talk. I did a talk on how to prepare yourself to get through the holidays. And this is where she met me, and she heard my presentation on how grief, even repressed grief, can hold you down and can keep you in bondage, but it also brings up trauma that might have happened with that lost loved one that you might have occurred just before the holidays or even during COVID. And this individual really was able to see, as we peel back the layers, that really she was more resilient than she was giving herself credit. And she had a voice, and now she was able to use it as the catalyst to help that inner child wound heal and, find the resources that she had even within herself to overcome it. But she just needed that reminder, that subtle prodding to really go deep within her heart and her soul and to see where the connection was missing. And then once we found that, the root of her heart chakra was broken, and she had to mend that by realizing that, we can say affirmations and heal it eventually, like Louise Hay did. You Can Heal Your Life in her book. But she went even further, and she realized that there was other trauma that was piggybacking on that. So in a process, you can realize that one emotion can be stuck in your cells, and until you can heal it at the core root, you'll be continuously tail spinning out of your trauma until you really go to the root and heal it there. And then when you can unveil that it's really not a boogeyman like the Monster Inc. Story, like Boo looks at the monster behind the door. It's really not that. It's just the part of you that is afraid to voice it. And once you can put a voice to the emotion and see that it's not anything more than what you can handle, it's just unbelievable how the power comes back in the individual. And this woman is just soaring now because she's a powerful woman. She's in a very big position of leadership. And she realized that that was preventing her from speaking her truth. And so the process of forgiveness, of neurolinguistic processing and NLP that people are maybe more familiar with, it helped her see that the forgiveness for herself was the gift that she could give to herself, not necessarily going to apologize except for doing a letter. And that released it from her consciousness and opened up many doors for her since. So it's just beautiful to be a witness. And I'm just a conduit. Like the
Mm.
individual is the one that does the work and shows up for herself.
Yeah, and what about that idea that when the student is ready, the teacher comes? Because a lot of people take a bit of time, they sort of go on the fringes of this process of healing, and yet when they're really ready, they step in and they find someone like yourself. And that in itself is a way to ignite humanity when we care and we listen and we be there for people. Can you share the importance around listening when it comes to forgiveness and then just being in that acceptance phase?
Yes, definitely the listening. And that's what I did with this individual and many individuals that I have the honor to be a conduit with, is that I listened for a few sessions just as she emptied out and just like poured out emotion just to tell her story. And sometimes, like even in my clubhouse room, that's all people need is just a witness to be seen, to be heard, to be felt for what they're going through and nothing more. They don't want advice. They don't want problem solving. They don't want any words of what you think would work. They want to
Mhm.
be able to work through it themselves. So this is what happened organically with this relationship of this client and myself, is that over time, as I was giving her more resources to help her navigate through the emotions and not get so stuck to why they're happening, just see the root of it, why it was repressed for so long, and now it was being coming up for honoring, that she saw the gift in it, because she said, wow, I didn't realize that that was something that I could have easily let go of back in the day. But it's when she was able to accept that it was just what happened and now it doesn't have a hold of her, that it's done, it's over with. And the people that were involved in the trauma are bigger and better people now,
Mm.
because they're respecting each other and they're loving each other for where they're at. But it took a trauma of a loss in her life, of this relationship of her first marriage, that she hadn't healed. And that's what she realized was the catalyst to, really dive deep into, and to see that, wow, because she didn't have a voice in that marriage, she held back herself in every other relationship because of that.
Mm.
And just to see the little pieces that she was able to put together to connect the dots was really freeing. But because she accepted it first and foremost, she wasn't staying in denial. And that part is the real truth, that when you can see that it's not denial anymore, that it's just repressed and pushed down, that you bring it up to the surface and you say, it's here, it's coming up for a reason. Let's honor it. Just like a child, when they fall down and they hurt themselves, we don't ignore it. We pay attention to it and we want to comfort them. Well, that's the same thing when we're going through trauma, or like a trigger that happens that brings up another reason for addressing your trauma. And that's what happened with this woman. And that's, the holidays. Holidays was a big
Mhm.
trigger for her.
Mhm.
We just got over the holidays. And that can be a lot of what people are dealing with, is repressed emotion during the holiday season.
And you are amazing at recognizing and supporting people through this. You understand this process because there was a time in your life where you were uncovering and unpacking and finding a bit of trauma in a way that you could use it to benefit or to grow through. And I don't want to say trauma to benefit, but what I guess now looking back on it and realizing where you are, you can see some of the silver lining. You can see some of the things that came from the trauma that you've been through. Would you be willing to share a little bit of your journey so that people can recognize how far you have come in your process?
Well, I just want to first of all say that I see myself so much more stronger than I gave myself credit back in the day when I was going through my own trauma, and even just healing as being an orphan at such a young age of only 13. I didn't trust anybody. And this is what I started my talk on just before the holidays with this individual that now is blossoming. And this is what she was being able to relate to with me, because I was real. And when you can be real and raw and authentic and share what you've gone through, and to really, even show that raw emotion. And that's what I ended up doing, because I lost a child myself not long ago. A few months ago, but to the anniversary, and in September. And I realized that it was still playing in the background of my emotions when we get to family get-togethers during the holidays. And I realized the trauma that that caused on me caused a gap in my ability to get close to people because I didn't want to talk about it, a raw situation that really brought me to that emotion. But this individual gave me hope and said, you know what, you make it more relatable when you can share from that place. So I honored that and I spoke to that in that situation and that talk. And later on, there was so much more people that came through and said, wow, thank you for being raw and real and saying that, you know, losing a child, even though it was my child would be now 20 today, that I realized that that was still an emotional trigger for me for the
Mhm.
holidays. So that vulnerability of going through that isolation moment, I guess, during the holidays, because when you're feeling, trying to fill a void, sorry for my
Mhm.
sister, you're trying to put the pieces together and fill that gap that's in your heart. And having lost a child is not an easy thing. I've lost my whole entire family, but losing a child was really
Mhm.
surmountable. And I don't envy anybody that goes through it, but I'm here to support them through it because it's a piece of you. And when you don't heal at that core root of your heart that's empty and that's longing for that void to be filled, it can bother you in a lot of different places and relationships, and especially the holidays because it's family time. So as I acknowledge this and I unpacked it over and over again, like it's something that you have to work like a muscle. It's not forever
Yes.
gone. It's just something that you have to exercise and say, okay, I give honor to it. And I light candles in memory and I set a chair in place of that loved one. And, you know, different things that I do to honor that memory. And that's what's important even for a trauma. We have to honor the memory. When we can honor the memory and not shove it down and not push it away and push it aside, but yet give it grace, give it peace, give it loving kindness that we would give to anybody who's going through something difficult. We give them compassion, which is really what forgiveness is true compassion. Finding compassion for ourselves is the
Mm.
toughest for a mother because we're
Mhm.
always there fixing everyone's bobos and, you know,
Mhm.
comforting everyone else, but we forget to give ourselves that compassion and that grace of just saying, okay, today's not such a good day, but tomorrow will be better just because I'm remembering that loved one on this moment or in this moment. And yeah, so giving that grace for individuals that are going through that, I really encourage you to just lean into that and honor that space because it's coming up for a reason. And every tear that you shed is 72 toxins that you release from your body as a
Wow.
specialist. So every time you welcome a tear, it's releasing from your body a repressed toxins. So you want them to come up. So it's honoring. So I now welcome the tears, and they're happy tears now, years later, because I realize that my loved one is with me in spirit. So it's great.
You are such an inspiration. I just want to say thank you for sharing. Thank you for your vulnerability. Thank you for being honest. Thank you for being willing to be in front of everybody here who's watching to talk about the loss of your child. And of course, our heart goes out to you and we send you so much love and angels. But I want to say thank you for doing that because in that vulnerability and in that honesty, you really awaken our willingness and our wantingness to lean into you and to know more about you and to feel that compassion and to feel empathy and to feel caring and to layer our own experiences over yours. And if you know anybody who's watching the show for any length of time, they know that it's stories that bring us together. It's stories that break down walls and barriers. It's our authentic stories that allow us to feel closer. I know each and every one of you feel closer to Kate right now because she shared something honest. She just didn't come on the show and tell us all how great she was. She truly shared something she's been going through and how she has a desire to help other people through it also. And I think, Kate, that's so magnanimous of you because in your own trauma, you could have chose a different path. And instead of being a victim or being brought down or broken by it, and there is a time of brokenness, but there's also a time of repair. And I really, truly admire the repair that you have gone through. And from repair, I like to say triumph, which is exactly what you say, from trauma to triumph. Is there a sequence that people go through that you can help our listeners identify?
Yes. First and foremost, I would say the sequence or the steps that you would take is to acknowledge. Do not negate any step of the acknowledgement of what has happened. And what I guide people on is they go through the different various emotions of anger, fear, sadness, guilt, and shame, and they associate to each emotion to what they might have endured at going on a 7 or 9 year journey of going back every 7 years, 9 years to recollect what they might have occurred, because those repressed emotions hold a memory, and that memory is tied to an emotion within ourselves. And when we can't really acknowledge or find what is really bugging us, that is what it takes, is getting to that moment that really is the catalyst for why it happened in the first place, that you were angry. And for me, that was the biggest thing for me that I realized in my grief, is that I was angry, that why did it have to happen to me? I had lost my entire family, and how come I had to also lose a child? Sorry as I choke up, and it's only an honoring. It's not that I'm grieving. It's that, the innocence of a child, you look at that we are children within our adult body, but when we have a wound and we're not addressing it and we're shoving it down, we're not giving a voice to that inner child, that inner knowing that there's something not right. And when there's that God whisper within us that tells us to go and do something, and then we don't listen to it, there's a reason for that, because there's something that hurt us, that negated us to not want to go there in the first place. So what I had to do is I had to search within myself, and what I guide people on is to give yourself permission. So the second step would be permission. Find yourself a place where you feel safe, to give yourself permission to go there. And it takes a trusted person to go through it with you, because sometimes you don't feel that safety within your own facility of your family. And that is where the trauma can be triggered, especially during the holidays or just coming into a new year, like people are making New Year's resolutions and so forth. So that can be, something that can hold someone back as well, because they don't know what next step to take. So the next step, I would say, after giving yourself permission, is then not being so hard on yourself. So critical and
a little bit of grace, right? Giving yourself a bit of grace.
Yeah. And that grace can really give us, that permission to say, okay, this too shall pass. But the triumph that you get from giving acknowledgement to it and seeing it on the other side, that it's not still happening to you, you're putting it in perspective. That's all you're doing, and giving it a voice and honoring it, and then saying, okay, I choose to let go, which would be the next step. Letting go and not holding on to it as if it's your life story, because it's only a story. It's not who you are. You're much bigger than your story. And that's why I say trauma to triumph, because I am not a victim. I'm a victor over my circumstances, because it's made me be empathic to others. And that's when the next step, I would say, is the compassion comes into play. That when you can be compassionate to yourself, you can then exercise that compassion to the rest of the world or others that have gone through it. And that's why I went into mental health in the first place, is because I felt that mental health was where I resonated the most, because I had to heal myself first before I could help others heal. And that's the catalyst of where then the next and last step for me is not just the acceptance, but honoring it and giving it a sacred moment of, like, I have a sacred altar, and I honor certain things by lighting a candle or putting some positive affirmation, or, people have different things that they put on altars, and that is a prayer altar for me. Every day I take a time to acknowledge what I've gone through, and I meditate, and I hold that presence of all the gifts that I've been given in life, to say that this is a piece of me that I'm not letting hoard on to not hoard, but because we can hoard also when we're going through trauma, and we don't let go of things because we're holding on to those emotions. And that's what too I've learned to help people go through, is letting go of the attachment to things, because when you're attached to things, you're not really letting go of the emotion. You're filling that void with something else. So that's the last thing, is letting go of any attachment that you have to any unacknowledged repressed emotion too. So there's many steps in there that I mentioned, but it's a process, and it's percolated as you need it to be, as you're guided one step at a time. And some people take a little longer, because as grief has a stage too, different stages within the cycle, you might revisit different stages at different times, depending on what you're going through at a given time, because they're layered. Everything is layered of your emotions. So I hope that helps explain.
Kate, fantastic. I mean, you gave so many great ideas and ways that people can see and maybe identify like where they are in the process and see how they can move themselves forward. I so deeply, deeply appreciate you, and your wisdom is incredible. If you want to know more about what Kate is up to and how she can help you and support you and be there for you and help ignite a little bit in your life, please reach out to her at sacredrootscoaching.com. Kate, we love having you on the show. We just send you so much love. You really have reminded us the importance of listening, the importance of recognizing and seeing. You and I both agree every single person needs to be seen and heard and feel that sense of belonging. And you definitely belong to our community. We love having you here. Thank you so much for pouring into all of our many viewers. And I just want to say bravo to you today.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, as you can see, ladies and gentlemen, there are many ways that you can attach yourself to a new idea on how to move forward through grief, through anger, through frustration, through trauma, to get to the place of triumph. And we're talking about this today, not because it's the most interesting and fun and filled up conversation, because it's a vital conversation that so many people need. People are going through all kinds of different trauma, little trauma, big trauma. There's things happening in the world that we're so unaware of, that it's going on in different places, and we don't realize how it's affecting everyone. And when you can step through the different stages to find the triumph and to find the lesson and to find the wisdom in yourself, then you can be exactly like Kate, willing to help others do the same. Well, if you've got a story to share and you want to tell us what you're up to, please go to our website, ignitehumanity.life/share, and tell us what you've been up to and how you're igniting humanity, and share your vulnerable story with us so we can have you on the show. If you'd like to know more about what we're doing to ignite humanity, please go to our website and we can give you all the details there on our book, our documentary, and the wonderful things that we are doing. If you'd like to ignite someone's life and pour into them and show them about forgiveness and caring, please have some fun buying a bouquet of hope with our initiative, ignitehumanity.life/hope, where you can share with someone all month long. It doesn't have to just be for Valentine's Day, but $12 of a donation buys 12 bricks that will go into one of our schools. Our first school we're building is in Indonesia, and then we're slotted to do something in Cambodia, in Pakistan, and hopefully in India. We've got lots of things that we're wanting to do here, and we really want to encourage you. So if you love this episode and you want to see the other things that we're doing, please check out our website at ignitehumanity.life/watch. And you can see all of our past episodes and re-listen to some of the steps that Kate talked about to help you move through some of the trauma into the triumph in your life. We want you to have access to all of our videos. They are free to you 100%. We don't charge you for anything. We don't retarget you. We don't make it difficult. We just share. Now, the whole reason that I'm here doing this and bringing you my amazing friends and the people that I know is to truly ignite humanity. Each and every one of us has to do something to move the needle forward so that humanity is a place we want to be. Humanity is what we want it to look like, and the world and the future is absolutely blessed and beautiful for everyone. Well, thanks for watching. See you tomorrow.
Now, more than ever, we need to come together to connect with one another. We need to feel the truth in who we are and let go of everything that's happened in the past. We need to empower every person on the planet and awaken hearts, enliven souls, come together, laugh, play, rejoice, connect, create, and love. It's time to ignite humanity. We want you to be a part of something that will impact the future for everyone. We want you to tell your story, share your Ignite moment, show people who you truly are. Be a part of igniting humanity and making a difference in the world and all of our futures.